Welcome to the Frictionless Innkeeper podcast. Coming right up, fresh tips and insights from lodging professionals aimed at helping you improve your business. Our podcast is brought to you by the Frictionless Guest App, which helps improve your guest stay without adding more to your day. Learn how at frictionlessguest.com. All right, Steve, how you doing?
Matt, I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well. So for this podcast, we're actually speaking with an innkeeper. It's been a while, and this one has a unique story or a unique angle on terms of owning a specific niche, and that is really about vegan cuisine. And this podcast is with Michele Salisbury, who's the owner and chef at Salisbury House at Bethany Beach, and she specializes in vegan cooking.
She does. And it's one of those deals where I think it can happen that you have kind of a passion for something and it ends up being part of what you offer as an innkeeper. And that's, I think, really important because whatever your passion is as an innkeeper, whether it's vegan cooking or anything else, like beer centric, remember Wild Man Dan and the whole brewery thing. It's the same thing. If it's something you like to do, so you're going to do it, you're going to do it well. And some people are going to say that's not for me, but some people are going to say, wow, I've been looking for that because no one else has that for me. And I think that whole niche approach is great. And I think she kind of got into this ways back, and that's what she loved to do. And then she wanted to be an innkeeper. So why not combine the two? And now, she's taken off with it, which is cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. And I think that's a great segue there. We hope you all enjoy this Frictionless Innkeeper podcast interview with Michele Salisbury, owner and chef at Salisbury House at Bethany Beach. Okay, and Michele and Steve, how you both doing today?
We're good. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for joining us. Steve, how you doing?
I'm doing fine as usual, Matt. Thank you. Michele, thanks a lot for joining us. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it too.
Awesome. Well, let's kick things off. Michele, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you become an innkeeper?
I kind of wanted to be an innkeeper for a while now. We had a house that was built in 1750s in upstate New York, and I thought it'd be a perfect place. And then my husband got a job in Delaware, so we moved down here. We started looking for property, and we found a beautiful 6.5 acres, 2 miles from Bethany, and we are going to build a house. And we said, hey, how about doing that innkeeper thing? It'd be so cool to have a bed and breakfast. We live in a resort town, but we're not in the hustle bustle by the beach. We're a little ways away. It could be like a good, relaxing place to stay. And so we designed the house with that in mind. And here we are.
Cool. And that was like 2019, I guess?
We bought the property in 2017. And we got our CO on the house in 2018. And then in September of 19, we were approved by Sussex County to have a bed and breakfast. And then we know what happened in 2020. And so we opened this year.
Cool. Good deal. And I don't know if you said it, but Bethany, Delaware, right? Just for listeners.
Yes. Bethany Beach, Delaware, Southern Delaware, Sussex County.
Sussex County. Cool. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, I know it very well, Michele, as you know. So spent all my summers in Fenwick Island, right down the road. I love it there. It's my second home down there. And yeah, Michele, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit more about the property itself.
Sure. It's a beautiful piece of property. Like I said, 6.5 acres. It was completely wooded when we bought it. And we took down a couple of trees. And actually those trees we milled. And that is now our flooring in the house. That's the red and the white oak. And then we took down some pine trees and we made a coffee table out of it, some trim for the house, a ceiling for the patio. And we are completely surrounded by woods. The one side of the property is actually state-owned, Assawoman Wildlife Sanctuary. So no one's going to build there. It's so peaceful. Even our neighbors to the back, they have trees all around them. They're on 6 acres too. So it's very quiet here.
Cool. And you want to talk a little bit more about like design wise, just kind of curious when you're building something new and you're trying to have at a house, but also a bed and breakfast was, I think when we talked before that you said your husband's in construction, right? Which I assume means residential, but maybe not, but still he kind of had a bit of a hand in the design, I guess, as well. Is that right?
Yes, my husband is a contractor, and I've been to Italy a couple of times, and I really love their architecture and I love their layouts. So we kind of designed it after that. I designed it with the main living space all open, and then we have a east wing and a west wing. And the east wing is for our residents, 3 bedrooms, bathrooms. And we have a courtyard in between, separates them from our living area. And the courtyard to the living room has these beautiful 16-foot pocket glass doors that go into the wall. So when they're open, you have indoor outdoor living. It's
cool.
Spectacular. Yeah.
Sounds awesome. Yeah. Pretty neat.
Thank you.
Nice. Should we shift the discussion to talk about the main event here, really, which is all about veganism and vegan cooking? You're a vegan property. Would love to hear more about that.
Okay, great. Yes. I've been vegan since about 2010 and vegetarian before that, on and off. And I really love cooking vegan food. I love experimenting with vegan foods. And, back in 2010, there was nothing but just tofu and vegetables. That's all we ate. And now they have all kinds of interesting products on the market. I prefer to make my own, like vegan sausages, vegan cheeses, all that, because I just don't like the sodium and all that, calories and sugars they put in it. So I really have been experimenting on my poor husband and my friends and family, but everyone seems to love the food. And I just enjoy, what we're doing for our bodies, for the environment. And so I just keep going. And then I talked to Randy Bangs. I met him at a conference in Vegas a couple of years ago and talking about being an innkeeper and everything. And I was afraid to tell him that I was vegan. And once I did, he just said, "Oh my gosh, Michele, that's your niche. That's what you have to do." There's so many people out there that don't eat at his bed and breakfast because he doesn't know what to serve them as a vegan. So he really has inspired me, and my friends, my family have inspired me. Just do it. If that's what you want to do, just do it. And so far, everybody loves it. And we have people here that they're not vegan at all. They're just willing to try new foods, and they seem to appreciate it.
So, and what is it that it kind of got you to this point where, like, you started off as a vegetarian, then you became a vegan? Talk about ethical health. I think you had mentioned that you're growing up, that one parent was like maybe a vegetarian or something, and then the other one was like a full meat eater or something. So you were exposed to both sides of the equation or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. My father definitely was a hunter, fisherman, and my mom was a vegetarian. So I had best of both worlds, and I decided to do the vegetarian option for several different reasons. A lot of it was health reasons. I discovered that I was lactose intolerant and meat did not sit well with me. And I noticed that when I ate fresher, healthier, clean foods, I felt better. I had more energy. I was sleeping better. It just felt better for me. Everybody has their own way their body can handle certain things, and mine is veganism.
And I guess you did your own thing, or you're interested in the vegan cooking and dishes and all of that stuff. So talk about, I guess, some of the kinds of things that you cook up, and I guess maybe more for as a breakfast or whatever. Can you talk about what some of that's like? So if, let's say I'm a meat eater and say, "Hey, Michele, I want to stay at your place this weekend. What can I expect to have? I mean, am I going to be like totally freaked out over breakfast? What's it going to look like? What's it going to taste like? And what's going to be in it?" I guess is the question. Yeah.
Sure. I offer my guests a sweet or a savory dish, depending on what you like. And then I go from there. Like sweet, I made a delicious blueberry casserole for breakfast. one morning. Some mornings I'll make lemon crepes with a little side salad and some strawberries. That's always really delicious. I make a play on apple cobbler. I offer muesli, which is a cold oatmeal with berries. I make breakfast parfaits with nut butter and bananas and granola and berries. So that's kind of the sweet side. And then the savory side, I make my own tofu scramble. I know that sounds yucky, but I've perfected this after probably 8 years of trying. And usually I serve it with broccoli and sun-dried tomatoes in it. I make my own vegan breakfast sausage, my own tempeh bacon, all kinds of anything. I can make anything veganized.
So how do you make the sausage? What's in it? I mean, and I mean, I guess the spicy part's the relatively easy thing, but I guess, are you trying to simulate the texture as well as the taste, I guess?
Yeah, because I use a vital wheat gluten, and that gives the ingredients, once you mix it all together, it gives it like a chewy consistency, like a sausage or some kind of a meat. And just like any meats, they really don't have much flavor. So you're adding all the spices and herbs and, everything to it to give it a flavor. So that's what I do too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of thyme and sage and all kinds of fennel and all kinds of good stuff in there.
And so I guess, I mean, eggs are not an option here. So Is there anything, can you scramble up something if somebody says, well, I love eggs, but can you do something that's like a vegan version that comes close to that? I don't know if that's off the shelf type stuff or not.
They do offer off the shelf stuff. It's called Just Egg, and it comes in a liquid form, and that is pretty tasty, and it looks and tastes a lot like egg. Although I can make that same thing fresh at home with chickpea flour and some agua faba, which is juice from a chickpea can. And that kind of gives it the consistency. And you're going to put some black salt in there. It smells like sulfur, so it tastes like egg a little bit, and give it some more seasonings. And I made a beautiful omelet with that and made my homemade ricotta and roasted some tomatoes and basil and put that in there. And so that can be like an egg. Or my tofu scramble is definitely egg-like consistency, texture, flavor, smell. So yeah, I can whip up an egg, a vegan egg.
And I mean, I would think like the sweet breakfast stuff that you mentioned, I mean, I'm just starting to think about other people, other innkeepers, like Randy Bangs, mentioned, who, we've had on our podcast before. Like Randy said, I'm an innkeeper and people ask me and I don't know what to do for them. And so for the sweet part of it, it's fairly easy because you can just do fruit if you want, but I guess that's going to get boring after a breakfast or two, I would think.
Yes.
It seems like the savory stuff might be the bigger challenge if you're, an innkeeper that doesn't have only vegan or vegetarian guests or whatever, and that's what you serve up. So, but I guess some of the stuff that you talked about, like the scramble, like I think broccoli, tomatoes, I mean, some of these, the tofu scramble, it sounds like, to me, there's two parts of this. If I'm an innkeeper who has an occasional vegan guest that needs me to cook for them, and that is that I can either go this canned or off the shelf route, or I can go with more of what you do, which is, everything, you do it all yourself, but then you have to learn about the ingredients and how to cook it up. So I don't know if there's a middle road or, like, and any ideas on how an innkeeper might cater to vegan guests, especially if they're just occasionally there. So I don't want to have inventory that ends up, going bad or whatever.
Yeah, I understand. Because some of the products that are out in the market now, they don't last long because they don't have a lot of preservatives and stuff. And it can get very, very expensive, especially if you don't have a lot of people and you're going to be throwing it out. But like one thing that's very simple to do is you have whole grain bread. everybody has whole grain bread, and you can make an avocado toast with it and make that savory. You can put tomatoes and basil on it. And it's simple. You just take the avocado, you mash it, you add a little bit of lemon juice, a little bit of salt, put it on some toast, add some cherry tomatoes diced up, some fresh basil, and, that's pretty yummy. I think the savory part would be a little harder than the sweet, but a lot of people like the avocado toast. You can try different tofus, and tofu lasts a little bit longer in the fridge than most, but sometimes that just comes out no flavor and people don't really care for it. You got to add a lot of flavor to it.
Mm-hmm. And you had mentioned actually that you're working on a cookbook. I was going to say, if you had the cookbook out, and other innkeepers and hoteliers, lodging professionals might be able to reference it. But talk about your cookbook, and maybe in the meantime, are there any others that maybe you've used that are, I don't know if there's a vegan cookbook or the Vegan's Bible for cooking or something like that. Yeah, maybe you've got some that you could suggest now that have easy, simple recipes that use stuff that you might have in the fridge,
Yeah, I understand. Because when I first started getting cookbooks, there were ingredients in there that you couldn't find, 12 years ago. Now I think everything's pretty readily available. But I am working on a cookbook, and it is designed for simple recipes that anybody can use, and for people that come to my bed and breakfast that they might want to take home and try the recipes that I cook for them. And it's certainly going to be great for innkeepers, quick and easy recipes that are delicious. The one cookbook that I started out with is 1,000 Vegan Recipes by Robin Robertson.
1,000 Vegan Recipes. Okay.
Okay. Robin, like the bird, and Robertson.
Okay.
You can get it on Amazon. And it was put out in 2009.
Okay. So that was before, like you say, a lot of stuff was actually available. So
now everything is readily available. There are so many delicious recipes in there for breakfast. And they do have tofu scramble in there. That's where I started my tofu scramble, and then kind of switched it up a little bit.
Okay.
This is a really good book. It's huge, but there are so many good recipes, and you can just play with the recipes, change them up.
Now, what's your cookbook going to be focused on? Is it you looking at a particular type of recipes, or geared toward innkeepers, or any kind of a niche there or whatever that you're focusing on?
Yeah, I think I'm going to start right now with breakfast, because it's really geared towards innkeepers and towards my guests that stay at my Airbnb, so that they can say, oh, what recipe was that? And I can say, well, I have a cookbook. If you want, you can look at the cookbook, and, all my breakfast recipes are in there. Not all of them, but most of them will be in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. All right. Matt, how are we doing? You keeping me on track here or what?
Yeah, I think we're doing pretty well here. We've covered off on a lot of stuff. I mean, are there any other tips that we want to share for innkeepers catering to vegans, or have we covered off on that enough? Because we can certainly talk about, future plans for Michele and all that good stuff.
Michele, what do you think? Any other ideas on or suggestions for our innkeepers who are listening that, might, how do I cater to the vegan?
How do I cater? Well, you can even simply go online and look up, simple vegan breakfasts. You can do something like that. There's all kinds of recipes out there that you can find, or you can email me or call me, and I can give you a couple recipes that I know are tried and true and yummy and easy.
There we go. That's good. Good. Well, we'll have your info when we post this. So we'll make sure that we make your info available. Some links. Good. Okay. Matt, what you got?
Yeah, I guess we're at the future plans. So I know you just opened the property or had it finished in 2019. We all know what happened after that. Now ahead of you is really, hopefully, in this post-pandemic world, a wide open space for you to grow and get more guests and stuff like that. So we'd love to hear what your future plan and vision is for your property.
Great. Thank you. We are in the process of getting approval for wedding venues, small boutique weddings. We're approved for 50 guests right now. So that's going to be fun, because we have like I said, we have a beautiful property, very secluded, beautiful gardens, it would be a really beautiful place for weddings, because then the beach is down the road. If you want to get beach pictures, you get beach pictures. You want to get woods, get the wood pictures. That's definitely sooner than later. And then our 5-year plan is to build 4 little bungalows on the property. And that way we can still have more guests, because we only have 3 rooms right now to rent in the house. And then we thought, well, if things go great, my husband's a contractor, so it's not going to cost a lot of money. We have that extra property. We have, 5.5 acres to build on. And so we're going to put little bungalows up there so people can stay and still use the pool and still be close to the beach and still have access to the breakfast with us.
Nice. So your husband can build a bungalow every weekend, right? Hey, honey, go out.
My son, that'll be their
job. Put a bungalow over there. Okay. We'll give you a weekend off. All right. Next weekend, put another bungalow over there.
I'll tell him you said that, and I'll see how that goes.
Now, so the weddings, are you going to allow caterers to come on, or are you going to do all the catering, or what?
No, as a bed and breakfast, I'm only allowed to provide breakfast.
Okay.
And so I would definitely have a caterer come on board. And I just think that'd be better anyway, because I would rather enjoy the day, help with the day.
Right.
But yeah, we have so many wonderful restaurants around here. I think it would give the bride an opportunity to have a wider variety of food available to her than just me.
So it's not going to be a vegan wedding approach.
She can if she wants to. There's a couple places around here, but not from me.
Yeah. Well, that's incredible because, like you say, 10, 15 years ago, I'm not vegan. I've been vegetarian for probably 25 years, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, just finding vegetarian alternatives, it seems like 10 or 15 years ago was not been an easy, even now still at times, but at least like your bed and breakfast, that niche that, you're doing, at least these things are now, there's more niche businesses. Even if you have a challenge going to a restaurant, I was in Charleston last weekend and, with a bunch of friends and, we got to go in and see if there's anything that I can eat, nope, it's barbecue. There's not even a fish option, but that's few and far between now. So I think it's cool that there's so many more options like what you offer, with the B&B that's all vegan. That's a cool thing. So
yeah, that's living in Delaware. I was surprised that there are so many. Well, there's a huge variety of restaurants, but I think it's because we get people from Philly and DC and Baltimore. They stay here and they, requested different restaurants, a variety of restaurants. So it worked out for me too.
Good. Cool. All right, Matt, lead us home.
All right. Well, Michele, before we sign off, is there anything else to add or anything we may have missed? We really appreciate your time today. And this is a different topic. We've never covered veganism before on our podcast. This is pretty cool.
I think we covered a lot of it. I really thank you for this. This is really fun. I'm glad. And I really want you. You are welcome to come to my house anytime and stay. And I will make you a feast that you'll never forget.
Hey, I might take you up on that. I'm coming down this summer to see my parents in August. So yeah, I might reach out to you in advance to do that for sure.
That would be great. Yeah. Just come for breakfast. I would love it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Cool.
Yeah. And if what you're saying is come anytime, come for free and stay as long as you want, I might be down there next week. I don't know.
Come on down. You have to like dogs. I have 3 dogs that are really lovey. So
that's not a problem.
Dogs are good.
Yeah, we love dogs. We got a couple. So that's good. Nice. Yeah. Might want to get away from the kids and the dogs, though, and visit you. So,
yes.
Yeah. Good.
You can have dog therapy. You can pet my dogs while your dogs are at home.
Nothing like it. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Cool. Good deal.
Great.
All right. Awesome. Well, I will take us out. So this concludes this Frictionless Innkeeper podcast interview with Michele Salisbury, who's the owner and chef at Salisbury House at Bethany Beach. And as you heard, she spoke with us about how her property specializes in vegan cuisine. It's a very unique and different niche we've never talked about before. And it's a really awesome niche that Michele is certainly owning with her property. And our podcast is brought to you by the Frictionless Guest App, which helps to improve your guest stay without adding more to your day. Learn how at frictionlessguest.com. And Michele and Steve, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Michele. We appreciate the time.
I appreciate it. Thank you.